Hello, and Paul Richardson here again, and in part 2 we're going to be discussing aviation legislation and Bristow helicopters maintenance procedures in a lot more detail. As we have already covered the EASA regulation, we know it is published and any amendments that support it are available from the EASA website. Currently, in May 2019, there are 5 amendments. Even though the regulation has been updated, its original date of issue and content remains the same, which can be a bit confusing at first. The relevant support documents are the acceptable means of compliance. This shows the example procedures that can be used to meet the regulation requirements. Another one is guidance material, which expands on the intent of the regulation. And finally, the consolidated version. Now, the consolidated version is a combination of the original regulation and all its amendments. If you notice, the amendments are changed to a simple numbering system in the consolidated version. A further publication, called Easy Access Rules, is a combined reference for all these support documents. We must emphasise that although these support documents are really useful, they may not be fully up to date, and they are not the legal documents. Only the regulation itself and its amendments are legally binding. The elements of EASA regulations used at Bristow helicopters for maintenance are Part M, which are for aircraft operators, Part 66, which is licensing, Part 145, which is maintenance, and Part 147, which is training. Let's just take away Part 66 and Part 147 for now and concentrate on Part M and 145. Part M includes fleet support, technical records and document control. These departments construct the maintenance plan and maintenance program for our aircraft. They also write the pre-flight procedures and the minimum equipment list. The information sent to the Part 145 maintenance departments highlights the work required to maintain the aircraft. In return, Part 145 maintenance produces maintenance records and reliability data which are fed back to Part M for their records and in order to adjust the maintenance program or liaise with the manufacturers of the aircraft. Another aspect to our operations are our client requirements. Now, many of these are handled by Part M or operations, but occasionally our Part 145 maintenance may be affected. Clients may have their own specific requirements. Each client has their own document. The SGRAO is a Shell Group requirements for aircraft operations, and that covers fixed wing and rotary. Likewise, the MCA, or the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, the GDP document is used at BP, and NORSOC is a Norwegian client handbook. The importance of the Part M organisation is that it ensures the continued airworthiness of our aircraft. Each element of the Part M processing outlined here needs to be performed without error. If an error does occur at any stage, the aircraft must be prevented from flight until the error is reported and corrected. Reporting these errors is a Part 145, a Part M and an ICAO Annex 13 requirement and uses Maintenance Safety Reports or MSR in the BSAFE system, which allows an investigation into the problem and corrective actions to be implemented. Reports can be made using a PC or a smartphone app, but should be completed within 72 hours of the event. Errors found in maintenance documentation are paperwork, signatures omitted, procedures being incorrect or components incorrectly identified. There is a long list of potential hazards, all of which must be reported. Finally, another important Part M function is document control. A process to ensure only the latest and correctly amended manuals or maintenance data is available to our Part 145 maintenance organisation. A number of documents are used to transmit information from Part M, usually to the Part 145 engineering department. Their information sources are the regulators and aircraft manufacturers. Maintenance programs for each aircraft type are published, and these may be tuned to the aircraft's local operating requirements or equipment. At Bristow, we use different maintenance programs for search and rescue or oil and gas operations, for example. A technical directive will be issued by a fleet engineering specialist to cover technical data such as service bulletins, customer service notices, alert service bulletins, modifications and airworthiness directives. These may require further explanation or a fleet action within a specified timeframe. An alert technical directive can also be raised when an airworthiness maintenance situation has arisen which requires urgent attention, like an airworthiness directive, to an aircraft or fleet of aircraft requiring an inspection or check to be carried out within a defined time period, usually less than 30 flight hours or 1 week. The Fleet Support Notice was introduced to allow for technical information of a non-airworthiness nature to be conveyed to engineering staff. These documents relay information on new equipment or a problem area to all field bases in a timely manner. Previously, Fleet Information Notices covered this function, but are no longer issued as the Fleet Support Notice format replaces the FIN. Type engineering compliance instructions will be issued by Fleet Support for technical data that usually provides maintenance guidance but does not warrant the issue of a technical directive, usually associated with a manufacturer's notification about an impending procedure or equipment change. Checking the amendment status of the maintenance documentation used at Bristow is a straightforward process using the Bristow portal. This document is our master revision list. Simply typing QID status and press return, the result will be listed. It is also a good way to check that the manual QID number exists. We will now show you how to do this. This short clip shows how to access the QID status document using the Bristow portal. Type in QID status in the search box and press return. The master document will be listed. Click on it to view the information. When quoting the revision of the maintenance document, you need to quote the name of the document and its revision, not just the revision. There are around 40 internal manuals used at Bristow for engineering. The following table shows a selection of them, and it should also be available as a download if you need to refer to this diagram later. The primary 4 engineering manuals are the Maintenance Organisation Exposition, the Maintenance Procedures, the Continued Airworthiness and Fleet Support Procedures. These 4 manuals describe how Bristow Maintenance works to its employees, regulators and auditors. Aircraft maintenance manuals are distributed using DVDs or available as an online access using Citrix. The Reporting System Handbook is a guide on how to report errors into the BSAFE database. Workshop personnel should be familiar with their own procedures and processes in the Workshop Procedures Manual. A list of parts that may be processed in our workshops is called the Capability List. The importance of knowing the scope and capabilities of our workshop is recognised, and this manual will soon migrate into the Maintenance Exposition QID 054. The quality and safety teams are outside of Part 145 and Part M departments. They have their own manuals which include Safety Management System and the Health and Safety Manuals. Both of them are global manuals. Further manuals related to engineering are the Fuel Manual, which details fuel sampling and handling procedures, the Safety Equipment EOMP. EOMP manuals are engineering and operational maintenance procedures. In general, these cover engineering experience from our maintenance procedures. The RAMP manuals give guidance on marshalling and procedures associated with our aircraft on our ramp or apron, and there is a master manual and one for each base. The HUMS, or Health and Usage Monitoring System Exposition, sets out our policies for handling the various systems fitted to our aircraft which monitor vibration and transmission health. A manual specifically for aircraft hoists contains their specific procedures. The Visual Inspection Control System Manual is the name given to the paperwork system we use, including T-cards, if our main computer systems fail. The SAP Guide is a handbook detailing the computerized maintenance record system used at Bristow. It is specifically aimed at engineering procedures using the SAP system. As an aid to reducing maintenance error, stage paperwork sheets called proformas must be used when the maintenance task exists in the proforma book. Then the proforma must be used alongside the maintenance manual. Proformas originate from engineers doing the job. They are vetted and published by Part M. These documents are stored with the aircraft task paperwork when completed. A number of other manuals may be of use. The type-related EOMPs, for instance, the avionic EOMP, these documents are useful guides where clarification may be needed. The dotted outline of the next manuals shows these are virtual manuals, which have their content only available using the Bristow portal. Supply chain procedures are useful for those working in that department. The manuals highlighted in pink are shown here because they are available, but they're not normally used in engineering. The Part M department of Tech Records have their detailed functions in their own procedure manual. Finally, there are different maintenance program manuals for search and rescue or oil and gas aircraft, even though the aircraft may be of the same type. The internet can be useful to use if you're away from the workplace. Using the basic www.bristowgroup.com web address with added switches and your login details can connect you to iConnect or Workday for HR functions like booking holidays. There's also an app there for smartphones for this function. The email system using Office 365. The Bristow portal, and this is a gateway to many systems at Bristow. And finally, the It's Learning system, which also has a smartphone app for access. Component log cards are vital in detailing the history of a part. All parts arriving at Bristow now have their log cards scanned and available for review by staff. This card arrived with a component. Do you notice anything wrong? Luckily, an alert person did, and discovered that the part was involved in an aircraft accident and scrapped by the manufacturer, yet someone had used correction fluid in an attempt to hide that fact. We really need to be alert to paperwork non-consistencies. The component log cards may be accessed using the SAP Enterprise Resource Planning system where maintenance is controlled. Using codes IE03 or IW53 are the access routes. It is probably best to refer to the GBL M336 manual if you are new to SAP. This may be downloaded from the portal. The presence of an EASA Form 1 accompanying a component from stores gives reassurance that the part arrived from a reputable source, but the form does not signify serviceability of that component. It signifies that it was serviceable when the form was completed and signed. Only following a full assessment of the document and the part itself by a licensed engineer will the part be considered serviceable. Any non-conformities must be reported using the BSafe system and the MSR. EASA have created a website that lists thousands of suspect or unapproved parts. Just enter EASA SUP into Google and click the link. Stolen parts and incomplete manufacturing are listed in the database, and it is searchable by part number. The website currently contains around 8,000 components at this time, and some of these originate from forged Form 1 documentation. Components arriving from the USA will typically arrive with a Form 8130-3. If we look closely at this example, the Box 11 status shows new and there is no EASA statement in Box 12. This is called a dual release statement, and if all other checks are okay, this part is permitted to be installed on our EASA aircraft. Repaired or overhauled components arriving from the USA will also arrive with an 8130-3 form. If we look closely at this example, Box 11 status shows repaired, and there must be an EASA statement called a dual release statement in Box 12. This states that the part can be released to an EASA aircraft under Part 145. If all other checks are okay, then this part is permitted to be installed. If the EASA statement is missing, then this part could not be installed and must be reported. In a similar way to the FAA forms, components from Canada must also show a dual release statement on their Form 1 if that component is repaired. Company Part 145 authorization renewals use a form called a QAF002. Now both sides of the form are shown here and it may be downloaded from the portal. These forms should contain all the relevant information for quality and compliance to issue an authorization once it has been signed, usually by a manager or chief engineer. There is an email address for the applications to be sent to. Thanks for your time and see you on the next one.